So you've been playing golf for a while now and you can strike the ball pretty consistently, but you're stuck at that handicap 20 to 25 and you just can't seem to break 90. Well, I'm going to show you just how easy it actually is to break 90 with these simple 8 tips. So number one, I think this is key to breaking 90, especially for your mental game, and it's to treat every single hole as a bogey hole. What I mean by this is most of you guys treat this golf course like how a scratch golfer would play, meaning that they will make a par on every single hole. But if you make a bogey on every single hole, that's 18 over and you've just broken 90. If you could par every single hole, you probably wouldn't be watching this. So accepting the idea that making a bogey on every single hole is our goal for today. So here I have a par 4, it's about 312 meters to the pin. It's pretty short. My tendency is a slight fade, so I'm gonna aim more left of the fairway and try and open it up on the right hand side. Okay, so that didn't really quite cut, but that's still in play. So now, don't get me wrong, if you do make a par on one of these holes, it just simply eliminates that pressure off you for that potential double bogey and triple bogey that you might make throughout the round. So I've got a shot here, 68 meters. I hit that drive pretty well, just left-hand side of the fairway. And my only goal here is to just try and hit the green. I've hit that really good. And that's money. So most of you guys might not actually hit the green here. So I'm gonna purposely drop one just off the green. Okay, so now I'm off the green here and going back to the strategy of making a bogey every single hole. I don't necessarily need to make up and down here. I just need to get this chip shot within 10 feet so I can 2-putt for a bogey. And if I make a par, that's a bonus. Remember, it's just a bonus. So my sole purpose of this shot is to just try and get it close so that I can potentially make a par, but we won't be too unhappy if we 2-putt for a bogey. So I've hit that pretty good. That's within 10 feet, so we've got a good chance of making a par. Okay, so I've managed to get it inside 10 feet and we're looking at a par here. So I'm just gonna put on a nice stroke. Okay, so that's a par. Okay, so we've made a par there, but we weren't going to be too unhappy with a bogey because par is a bonus. And going back to our strategy, it's all about making a bogey every single hole. All right, let's move on to the next hole. So tip number 2 is no matter how bad your tee shot is, the next shot should be all about trying to get yourself back in play. So here I'm going to purposely try and hit it into the trees on the right hand side and show you guys what I would do for that treble shot. Oh, I've actually peeled that. Sorry guys. I'll just drop it in the trees on the right. Okay, so I've dropped one in the trees and I know there's a big gap here. And most of you guys are so tempted to just go straight there so that you can keep moving forward. But in order for you to move forward, you gotta go left and right. Friction. So instead of going for this gap, think to yourself, out of 10 shots, how many shots can I execute this? If it's below 60, that means you have 50-50 chance of making that shot. And worst case scenario, you're gonna hit one of these trees and go further deep into the Amazon rainforest. So instead of going for this big gap, I'm simply gonna take this massive gap that I have here and I know I can get myself back into fairway and have a great second shot into the green. Perfect. Now we're back in play and we've got a clear shot at the green. It's about 168 meters to the pin. I've got a 7-iron, it's downhill. And if we hit the green and make the putt, that's still a par. But if we 2-putt, that's still a bogey, which is our sole goal of today, which is bogeying every single hole. Okay, I've hit that really good. Just pin high. Beautiful. Okay, so I've hit the green nicely. I'm just outside 10 feet. And fun fact, only 40% of the tour players make putts inside 10 feet. So that means out of the top 10 best players on tour, only 4 of them would make these putts. So it's always kind of nice to relate yourself back to these statistics to realize that no one is Superman, okay? So it's okay to miss this putt. Our only goal here is to just lag it there and tap in for a bogey. But if this goes in, it's only a bonus because our goal is to just try and get a bogey on every single hole. Oh, hit that a bit too hard. That's a bogey. So you went from being in the trees and trying to hit a hero shot, which could have resulted in making a double bogey, to a potential opportunity to make a par, and we just tapped in for a bogey, and we're still on track to breaking 90. So next tip is whenever you get to a fairway where it's quite slim and it just looks very intimidating, it's all about taking the club that you know you can hit 7 out of 10 times onto the fairway. For most of you guys out there, that means driver is going back in the bag, and I'll demonstrate what I mean. So I've got a 4-iron here and I know I can hit a knockdown 4-iron. We've also picked up a little bit of wind here, so we want to try and get it low and always focusing on putting ourselves on the fairway. So nice little smooth swing, just back and forth. Let's just hit the fairway. Okay, that is perfect. Kept it nice and low, and it's on the fairway. So I've hit that shot really nice, kept it low and kept it under the wind. And we've got a shot here about 147 meters. Now normally I would hit a full 8-iron, but because it's still quite windy, I'm gonna try and hit a 7-iron and try and almost punch the shot so I can keep it low and swing smooth. Now swinging smoothly will actually increase your ball striking as well, so this will ensure that we hit the green. So back and forth, nice and smooth. Practice swings. That's striked really well and it's going straight at the pin. That is perfect. I've got about 10 feet for a birdie. Okay, so I've managed to hit the green here and we're looking at a putt for a birdie, which is amazing. But remember, going back to our strategy, making a bogey on every single hole, ideally, we just want to just lag it near the hole and tap in for a par. And one thing I want you to implement is reading the green from behind the ball and also behind the flag. You'll actually understand the slope a lot more and be able to read your line more correctly. Instead of just going behind the ball and just reading the line and just going up to it, you want to take your time on the green to really understand the slope of the green back and forth. So this is breaking just slightly to the left, so I'm going to aim maybe just outside right. Wow. I really didn't expect to make a birdie there, but that's the thing I love about this strategy. When you're over those putts, the pressure is off your shoulders because we know we were only just trying to lag it there and tap in for a par, but that's amazing. But don't let this get to your head and start calling the PGA Tour and ask to be invited to their next tournament. We gotta stay focused, get our head back in the game and stick into our strategy of trying to make a bogey on every single hole. Nice birdie. So we're on this par 4 here, and the next tip is knowing when to swing hard and fast. So I know my tendency is hitting a fade with my drive, which I haven't really done today, but I know it opens up a lot on the right hand side. Smart play here would probably be another knockdown shot, but we're here to have fun and also break 90. So unless you know you've got some lenience to play around with, don't try and swing hard, but here is a perfect example of when you can go hard. So that is perfect. Haha, thank you. Thanks.
Where did it go? How far down?
Yeah, I think it's up there, up near the green.
Hey?
So tip number 5 is know your distances. So I'm here on this par 3, and just by looking at the green, it's very intimidating. Golf is all about accuracy and consistency. So this is where knowing your distance comes very handy. If it means that you have to go to the range with the TrackMan and figure out what your distance are for each of your clubs, then by all means, please do it. My suggestion would be hit one club 10 times and average out all the good shots and the bad shots, and you'll get your distance for that club. So this is about 170 meters. I know I carry my 6-iron about 172, 173 meters, but because I know I need to hit this straight, I'm gonna try and swing a little bit smoother so I can strike the ball a little bit better. That is perfect. Wow, that's really long. Okay, looks like I've got some work to do on the driving range and figure out my exact distance. Okay, so that shot actually was not too bad. It rolled up the hill just up here, and now I've got a 15 feet for a birdie. I'm just gonna try and lag it up there so I can tap in for a par. Okay, a bit short. That's all right, we keep our heads high and try and make the next putt. And you might be thinking to yourself over this putt, I must make this putt and I can't three putt. But remember, even if we miss this putt and tap in for a bogey, we're still on the right track. We've already made a birdie and a par, so we're already far ahead of breaking 90 today. So you don't necessarily need to be under that pressure of having to make sure that you make this putt. You just go over it with full confidence. Okay, I've pushed that now. Just gonna tap in for a bogey. And instead of taking that frustration out onto the next hole and hit a really bad shot, I'm just gonna remind myself that I've made a bogey here, which ticks the box of our strategy today, making a bogey every single hole. Instead of being upset and angry about three putting this hole, just remind yourself what the strategy of today is. It's about making a bogey. We've made a birdie, we've made a couple of pars, we're far ahead of breaking 90. Okay, tip number 6 is knowing how to approach par 5s. Okay, so generally par 5s are much longer than par 4s, and we will all struggle to reach the green in 2. Now, green regulation on a par 5 means that you hit the green in 3. I'll demonstrate what I mean. So that is perfectly cutting back onto the fairway. Beautiful. So I've piped my drive there, and there's still a long way to go. We've got about 207 meters to the pin, which means we've still got a whole Great Wall of China in front of us. I know we're all tempted to just hit our 3-wood or our 4-iron, 2-iron, 5-wood to get near the green, but instead I'm just gonna hit my 7-iron because the fairway is still quite tight. I wanna keep this in play, and I hit my 7-iron about 155 to 160 meters, meaning that my next shot will be about 40 to 50 meter range, which is perfect. Golf is all about planning ahead and preparing yourself for the next shot ahead. So if you're not prepared, we're gonna have a tough time on the golf course. Okay, so I've thinned that a little bit, but that's still gone straight. And look, perfect. 40 to 50 meter range for my approach shot. Oh. So the next tip is all about how to hit out of the bunker. So instead of just hopping straight into the bunker, checking out the lie, and then hitting the shot, I want you to get out of the bunker, walk to the green, understand the slope, understand where your landing spot needs to be in order for it to roll up. So I know it's downhill, the slope is going right to left, so I need to land this somewhere around here in order for it to take the slope and run up to the hole. So going back to my ball now, I'm just looking at my landing zone. I'm not worrying about the pin. I'm just looking at trying to get this ball to land in my spot, which is the right hand side, and this should be perfect. That is perfect. Okay, so the last tip is tee it low. Here we have a par 4, it's a pretty tight fairway. The wind seriously picked up now, so we need to ensure that we keep the ball nice and low through the wind. I know we've been told on social media and everyone else to hit up on the ball, but did you know most of the guys on tour actually hit down on their drives, on average about 1.4 degrees. I'm not saying tee it low every single time, but under this circumstance where it's quite windy and the fairway is very narrow and tight, the worst thing we can do is hit it up in the air, almost ballooning and catching the wind and getting too much spin. So we want to try and keep the ball as low as possible with the lowest rate of spin. Okay, that's not great, but I've kept it low. It's gone slightly left. Oh, that's so good. Okay, so we've got a quite difficult shot here over the bunker, but remember, going back to our strategy right from the start, we just want to make a bogey. Okay, so if we make up and down here, that's a par, but all we want to try and focus on is just hitting the green. The green is so large, you could probably fit my whole family there. Okay, so don't be too intimidated about the bunker in front of you, even if it means that aiming left of the pin and just making sure that you actually hit the green and you've got a putt for your next shot. By all means, just do it. Oh, it's taken the slope and it's gone slightly left, but that's all right. We've got a putt for a par. So I've got an opportunity for a par here, and I'm gonna look at the green again from back and forth. So it's breaking slightly to the right. So I'm just gonna aim inside left, not too much. And now the best thing about that strategy of making a bogey every single hole is that I have zero pressure over this putt. I just wanna lag it next to the hole so we can tap in for a bogey. Break. All right, so we tap in for a bogey and we've just broken 90. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. That were my tips of helping you try and break 90. I'm sure there are plenty of other ways of breaking 90, but they were my personal tips that hopefully you can take it out onto the course. And if you want to work with me and improve your game directly from me, make sure you join Slumpy's Academy, which the link will be in the description below. And if I've forgotten any other tips that are crucial to breaking 90, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.